Amen. Our Lord says, I am the vine. You are the vine, rather, and I'm the vine dresser. I would like to come to this text and relate it to St. Paul's text that you heard today when he says, there is no circumcision or uncircumcision in the church. Those words meaning the whole totality of the Jewish law. It avails for nothing, he says. And this is a Jew, a member of the Sanhedrin, actually, an educated Jew. So when he says the law has nothing for us anymore, it avails of nothing. We need to pay attention to him. And when the Lord calls himself the vine dresser and calls us and names us his vines, we should pay attention. And so to help do that, I would like to confess this morning a gardening sin. For a long time now, I've recognized the power of gardening, except I don't like doing it. I don't like mowing the lawn, and so now I live in an apartment, I don't have a lawn. But I like the power of herbs and plants in the house. So recently I went on a big campaign and bought lots of herbs. The kind that come in the little box, the little tiny box, about like this size. And the herb is flourishing and getting started and working its way up. And then the idea is guess what? You're supposed to plant it into a nicer, bigger pot so that it can begin to flourish. Well, I said I'm a bad gardener because I oftentimes got busy and I just left the entire platform, a whole pallet of herbs that I fetched in Virginia. And then I noticed they were struggling. They're not doing so well. And moreover, well, frankly, I lost a couple along the way. I didn't get them into the new pots fast enough. Now recently, I went and bought another round of little pots of plants. They were on sale, of course. And so with that, I thought, I'm going to do it. And sure enough, I got busy again and set them in the window. And I would water them little by little to keep them alive. I was determined not to let this round of herbs die. I thought I was doing fine. And so I would plant on a Friday or a Saturday or a day, and I'll get those planted, I'll get those transferred. I'll plant those, I'll transfer them. Sure enough, that day came and went. And then come Monday or Tuesday, I noticed, oh my gosh, I've got wilting herbs again here in the window. Now there was a particular plant that I was looking after quite a bit. It was an oregano plant. And I was determined I want fresh oregano. So I put some water on it one day and it regenerated. It came back to life beautifully. Oh, I thought, okay, no problem here. Then I went back a few days later. Okay, now we'll finally get around to planting it. And I realized, oh no, it didn't regenerate properly. The wiltedness just stayed there. And I thought, okay, well, we've been through this before. Now we know what can happen. Quick, immediately, change of plans. Repot this plant now. I did. I got it into a new plant, got it all ready to go. Okay, come on now. You can do it. And I put it in a better place. And I thought, okay, it will regenerate. Those roots will unwind. The soil will do its work. Water will do its work. The fact is I overwatered it. And it stayed the same old way. And another day passed. I was waiting for it to start to do its thing. Nothing happened. Never mind what happened to the parsley, and never mind what happened to the thyme. We'll go into that another day. But the oregano plant had the best pot, and it wasn't working. And the poor oregano plant just simply stayed there in its desiccated state. God have mercy. I'm a terrible gardener. It remains so to this day. I was going to actually bring it in to show you, but it's a little bit cumbersome to do that. I wanted to present it to you and show you what happens in the hands of an inferior gardener, an absent gardener. Somebody like yourselves, too busy with work, too busy with other things to take care of the plant, too busy, too distracted. So the bad news is the oregano plant will apparently be cut with scissors, stripped, and will go into a jar and be dried oregano, and that will be the case of it. And the pot will become a pot for something else, probably rosemary, and the cycle will go on. Now you're wondering, where does herbs in an apartment fit into all of this? I am the vine dresser. You are the vine, says the Lord. The old law availeth nothing for us. Jesus Christ is also a gardener. What is the first thing that at the first moment of resurrection, the first witnesses of the resurrection take Jesus Christ to be nothing more than a gardener? They believed that the gardener had come into the graveyard and they mistaken him for that person. And then the announcement of the resurrection, do not yet touch me. And then we have the message. It's here for us. And I'd like to point out here for us too, if you'll look at the church, we're in the midst of a garden. If you'll look around midway, there's a band of flowers all the way around the church. If you'll look above it, there is a band of water. Not just any old water, not the flood that I put on the poor oregano and killed it, but rather the gentle rains and the dew that comes and waters the flowers. If you'll look in the windows, what do you see? A very elaborate vine structure. It's all over the church. We're in the midst of a garden ourselves, but we are the vines. And there's life in this church. We have many forms of it. We have the mobile form, the sacramental form, the incense form. Those of you who have been watching, we've had also the exploding charcoal form in church too. And we have another form too of life. And this form is the faith that God will not fail as vine dresser. That Jesus Christ as gardener will not fail. We will not become the oregano plant in Father Pratt's apartment. That is not going to happen for us. We have that on a promise. And the promise is so deep that God will go back in providence and not only raise up for himself his mother, but will see to it that his grandparents through the flesh of the Virgin Mary are raised up. And if you had been paying attention, and if you were able to watch the text and hear the text and watch the services recently on Friday night and again on Saturday morning, the text repeat over and over and over and over and over again this theme. I will try to paraphrase it right now. Out of a barren branch comes the Mother of God. Out of the barren branch will come the purity that will deliver the flesh, that will be the God-man into this world. Out of barrenness, God will turn that into joy and make it fruitful. And then out of purity, God will deliver our salvation. Notice what's happening. In the birth of the Virgin Mary is the preparation of a couple that will deliver this one child against all hope. They had given up hope on bearing a child. Forgive me, I touch on a painful topic for any couples that are awaiting a child. And then it happens for them. So then out of the barrenness comes a great gift. And then out of that gift comes the gift for us. You'll see that God has actually in providence made arrangements for his own grandparents. But that's not the whole story, because vines are not just about leaves and stalks. Vines are about roots. And vines go on and on and on. This story that leads to Joachim and Anna actually takes 2,000 years to prepare it. It starts with Abraham. The vine and the seed are planted with Abraham and are nourished and watered, and there's some ups and downs in the gardening. We have yet to speak about David. That's on promise. It will come. And there are moments when it seems that the great vine of salvation is about to be broken, smashed. The conquest of Jerusalem by the Babylonians looks like the utter end of the vine. But God regenerates it, even in exile. Even in exile, God regenerates the vine and then brings it finally to the moment near Jerusalem for our salvation. And there you have it, a great and precious message. We're part of a family. This is why St. Paul can say, the old law doesn't avail for anything. we have a new law. And it's why in the church we have certain rules that we have to pay attention to. We still have fasting. We still have duties in the church. We still have life that has to be made here. We've got leaves and stalks and flowering that have yet to come. We've got to get that done. You will hear an announcement today about the bazaar. Yes, believe it or not, the bazaar is a type of flowering here in the church, because the bazaar doesn't just help us, it helps many people beyond us, people who watch and listen to these services and hear these sermons. People who don't even know we exist actually are being benefited by the work that is going to be done at this bazaar. The bazaar is really a vine, and we are the tenders of that vine. God is the tender of the vine that you have become through baptism. May God bless you in that, and may you flourish. Amen.
The blessing of the Lord be appointed through his grace and love for mankind, always, now, and ever, and unto the ages of ages.
Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy, Father bless.
May Christ, our true God, who rose from the dead through the intercession of his most pure mother, the holy glorious prophet, for